Hi everyone, my name is Shagun. I am one of the intake counselors at Jean Tweed. So at Jean Tweed, an intake counselor's role really revolves around being frontline based. So we are the first point of contact when a woman calls our treatment center, whether she's looking for support with substance use, mental health, or gambling harms. And our role involves treatment matching, providing coordinated access care to women and their families, and connecting them to any additional resources and supports as needed. That reaching out for support is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of strength. Oftentimes, all it takes is that one phone call for a woman or a family member to reach out to seek support and services. And when they do reach out, we're able to create that safe, empowering environment for women and their families. And it also helps reduce the stigma and shame that follows. I think it's important for someone to reach out right at the moment where they feel it's starting to take up more space in their lives. So for example, if it's impacting their mental health or if it's impacting their day-to-day routine, it's important for that conversation starter. You don't have to hit rock bottom to seek support or services. I think that initial phone call is more than sufficient to learn about services. And also notice the patterns, because oftentimes what happens is you as an individual who is in that situation is not able to pick up on these patterns, whereas someone, when you talk to a third party with no bias in the situation, they're able to pinpoint this, and then you're able to make a more informed decision and choice based on that. Some of the main barriers that we see at JTC is definitely accessibility, the cost for some of the programs that are out there. When women are seeking support, it's transportation, lack of trauma-informed care as well are some of the barriers. But at Jean Tweed Treatment Centre, we eliminate these barriers. So most of our services, actually all of our services, are covered under OHIP. We are also able to help women that are in parenting roles with our Child Care Development Centre on site that will be able to provide support as women are seeking support. This will provide support for women who are pregnant or parenting to be able to access support as their kids are also on site. So eliminating accessibility, shame, stigma, as well as the cost barrier that's associated to it. It's important to create that safe and validating space for the individual that's opening about their harms. So it's thanking them for taking the time and taking the courage to share these difficult moments, which is very important. I also think some of the other responses that I would utilize in this would be, are there any other supports outside of the ones that I have discussed that you might feel would be helpful? And really just approaching the conversation from a very trauma-informed lens and making sure that you're also taking their gender-specific roles into account, because oftentimes that's what happens when women are reaching out to us, is their roles are often undermined and underdetermined. To pause and plan. Take a harm reduction approach and have your budget, go with your budget. If you are out, you're not taking your cards with you. So really focusing on setting your limits and sticking within them. Another thing I would suggest is making sure that it stays as a hobby and it doesn't turn into more than a hobby. So when you have once your budget is done, you tend to leave and you don't return until you're able to afford it. So for us at Jean Tweed, that's something that we focus on as well, is following the harm reduction gambling model. That you don't have to hit rock bottom to hit the first step. If you feel that there are concerns or challenges that you're facing, I think it's important for them to reach out just to seek support and really become knowledgeable of the situation and circumstances. I think as really sending the message home, you do not need to hit rock bottom. You can call at any point to learn about services and supports that are out there, because most programs will offer either a harm reduction approach, or depending on what your needs are, it could be abstinence as well entirely, which would include self-ban from casinos, speaking in gambling contexts. So a couple of years ago, through the GRIO Foundation, we were able to partner with our community casinos and bingo halls to create more awareness when it came to problem gambling, especially in women. So based on this partnership, we've also been very involved in several outreach events in partnership with RGC and Jean Tweed. Something that really drew me to Discovery was one of the topics that were being discussed, which is addressing gambling harms in women's lives from Jean Tweed's perspective. And some of the insights that were presented from the panelists today was very interesting, especially Dr. Tara's conversation surrounding intergenerational trauma and chronic trauma and how it shows up in day-to-day lives for women or marginalized communities as well.